Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's January 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and this is going to wrap it up for the week. If you're not familiar, no chart lessons on Fridays. I'm only doing them Monday through Thursday, but it's hard to believe we're already through the first week of January, but here it is, wrapping up the week. Another really nice trend today, but honestly, from maybe 9:40, 9:45, right in here to 2 o'clock, there wasn't anything happening. And the sad thing is, you didn't get a lot of entry opportunities early on. So as nice as this trend was, for the most part, a nice rally again today, there weren't a lot of trades. So if you had a hard time finding entries today, that's because there weren't many. Um, when I came in around the 7 o'clock hour, we're in here, you're having to go long right into these highs, and you're not back to the trend line. And by the time you get back to the trend line and get an entry, you've already broken that trend line. Of course, this looked very similar to yesterday, so you want to see if you can find that flatter trend channel, which is the brown one here. But again, we never come back to the trend line until we do, and then we actually shoot through it and get a reversal almost. So um, really, at that point, you have to wonder if you don't just have a two-tiered channel here working up, and a break of it, two legs up, and that's what I think we have in the end. Although you can't argue with this channel, you just really don't get a lot of opportunities with it. Um, what it looks like to me is that we had our original two-tiered channel working higher here, and we got a break right here, two legs up to a new high, and then we corrected the rest of the day. And this is good, even though we're not really selling off. This sideways to action is still a correction. And in a strong market, that's kind of corrections you'll get a lot of times. You won't get a correction that reverses. You just start going sideways. So I think that's what we had today. But let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap the day up, and we'll wrap up the week. When I came in, we were of course working up here. There's a possibility of entering in here. Notice that you really came back and tested the trend line here, but that's well before 7 o'clock. If you were here, you might have taken that trade. That's at 5:30. I don't recommend trading that early. It's a little bit too early, and the volume's not really that well. Here we are at 7 o'clock, and you've got this little pullback to the midline here, but there's not much room. You're still away from the EMA. I didn't even want to mark that one aggressive, to be honest with you. It's just not worth it. There's a double bottom there, and so you could treat this like a failed second entry long, but you're going long right into the high of the day. And even though it comes back and corrects and makes a higher low, you don't know it's going to do that. You really want it to come back to the trend line, the EMA in there before you look for an entry, unless this just continues to ride this on up. So I just think there's nothing you want to do in here. I think you just want to watch this, and you finally get a correction here with a second entry long right at the EMA. Notice that little trend line. You get a little close outside, move to a new low, and the second entry long right there, right at the EMA. And if you drew this line off the top, which you really didn't even have a lot here, so you couldn't be sure this was correct. And so it's just a little difficult to find. The only thing you had was a second entry long here. So, and I would just consider that the first break of this two-tier channel. So nice second entry long, plenty of room to get out before the highs. So I like that one, and it does. It takes off. It's a nice move. And if you caught this one, you should have caught a runner, and you could have ridden this up. Generally, what I like to do is the first solid correction, I'll exit. So I probably would have exited when it broke lower here, especially being that far away from the EMA. It's time for it to come back. But if you held on, you could have ridden this up. And maybe you don't exit till, even if you waited till in here when you were sure it was, you were getting a bigger correction, you would have been better off just to exit right there. So But anyway, notice a new low there, then first entry short, second entry short, and it's a failed second entry short. You got to go long into the high, but at this point, this is looking like a very strong trend. It's looking very much like yesterday. Um, I like this trade. I went back and forth about whether or not this one should be green as well because it is a little aggressive going long at that high. But if you've learned to spot these kind of trends, you just don't get any big corrections. And when you get a failed second entry short that's probably going to trap a lot of people trying to pick highs, you want to take advantage of that. That's what's happening here. You got people getting short and it just keeps going higher. And about the time they all give up, then it finally does sell off. But we were overdue to come back, and we've been overdue for a little bit of a pullback after the last 2 days. I mean, it's been, as you see, it's been pretty much straight up the last couple of days. So we were overdue. But in the end, even though these lines look valid in here, I'm looking at this like a break of this two-tiered channel, 2 legs up, and we didn't quite get 2 measured legs, and so that tells you we're probably going to get a correction, and that leads me to feel a little more comfortable going long on this failed second entry long. But notice how we shot right through the EMA there. We pull back, we test it once, we pull back, we test it twice, and we get a failed second entry long. Really small bar. It's also a little breakout pullback short because there is some congestion right there, but notice how it goes a little lower. It's a little breakout pullback short. It does confirm the trend line with a third touch. Notice how it closes inside. So I like going short right there. Just looking for another leg down at the very minimum, because a lot of times you'll get these two-legged corrections in the middle of a larger trend, then you'll head off again. You can see that's a perfect two-legged correction. That's why I didn't feel comfortable going short here anymore. And then, of course, it bounces. But again, it doesn't give you a chance to really get in. I'm not going to risk going long with that signal bar there. And notice that was a really nice signal bar, but you don't have a close outside of that trend line. Now you got one in a new low, but you really just don't get a good setup. But notice what happens here. It does give you a chance to get in. You got a new low, and so you get a first entry short, second entry short, and it fails right there, and everything's back above the EMA. So I like going long there. You had to kind of ride it out, but it does work. And notice when you get that that next turn down again as well, now you've tested that trend line twice, confirmed it. You got another nice bullish bar. I like either getting in there or adding on, and you get just enough for your scalp, and it starts selling off again. So I don't see anything else here in that last hour. I'm not going to enter either way in that last hour there. It just doesn't, I don't see anything that interests me there. What it looks like we probably had here, a better way that you might have read this. And I really wasn't looking at it like this, but I don't know why I can't get that line. Anyway, there's a square line across there. And then your lows are right here. And there's probably a midline in there. The reason I didn't really like this is because I couldn't find anything at the lows. You can see it's making higher lows all the way up, and even though it's making kind of a flat high across the top there, it's making these higher lows, and that generally tells you it's going to probably break on through, even if it's not successful and continues on. But in this case, I would have expected that to continue on, and it didn't. So you just really couldn't judge much by that. But if anything, you might have treated that like a failed breakout, and you might, if you'd gone short on those, it would have worked out okay. But again, I just didn't see enough evidence at the lows because notice that low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. That leads me to believe we're going to go higher rather than lower. I would have been, honestly, if I was still trading in this time, I would have been more inclined to go long there than I would short, but it's still kind of fuzzy looking, hazy looking here. So I probably would, the best move is nothing there. That's the reason I didn't mark anything. So But if you did look at it like that and you didn't see this trend line and you weren't noticing those higher lows and you just looked at it like a failed break higher, you might have went short there. If you would have, it would have worked. But I still don't like it, so I didn't mark anything up there. But that was kind of the. You've heard me say it before. Anytime it's hazy and you're just not 100% sure of your read, the best move is no move, and that's the reason I put no move in there, because it's just, I can see arguments for taking it both ways, and you could have got burned either way. So your best just to stay out of it. That would have been my last trade long, and it would have worked. And there's a second entry long there. That's still a fairly bullish bar, but notice what happened. It ticked one or two ticks higher and turned back down again. But your break here, that was a little bit concerning. I'd want a perfect signal bar here probably by the time we've been going sideways that long, even though there is a slight upward bias. So again, the best move here is just no move. So I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, as nice a day as it was, as strong a day as it was in the end, it looks really strong early on, and it was, but from, like I said, about 9:40, 9:45 on, there just wasn't much happening. And so just not a lot of trades today, but I hope you had a good day. I hope you had a good week. Welcome back to the new year, and we'll be back again to do it Monday. But I'm out of here for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.